Taco Bell Corporation, a primary subsidiary of Yum! Brands is one of the most dominant and recognizable players in the global fast food industry. The brand is synonymous with Mexican-style cuisine, but its operational model is not derived from Mexico. It is a direct and intentional application of the 1950s American fast food system, pioneered by McDonald's, to a different, non-burger cuisine. The company's history is defined by three distinct phases: the operational innovation of its founder, Glenn Bell, the massive capital and marketing expansion under PepsiCo, and its modern-day dominance as a lifestyle brand, targeting a youth demographic. The stolen idea behind the first Taco Bell. Taco Bell's foundation was an act of operational adaptation. Glenn Bell saw a popular taco and applied the fast food system to it. The company's founder, Glenn Bell, was not a chef. He was a second-generation Southern Californian, a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, and a relentless tinkerer. He was born in 1923 in Linwood, California, and came of age during the Great Depression. This upbringing instilled in him a permanent sense of economic pragmatism. When he returned from service in the Pacific during World War II, he, like many veterans, was looking for a way to build a life in the booming car-centric culture of post-war California. In 1948, the same year the McDonald brothers were re-engineering their restaurant in San Bernardino, Bell opened his first business, Bell's Hamburgers and Hot Dogs. He was 25 years old. His stand was located on Hamburger Row in San Bernardino, a strip of land that was ground zero for the fast food revolution. Bell's stand was a modest success, but he operated in the shadow of giants. He watched with a mix of envy and analytical curiosity as the McDonald brothers' new speedy service system drew massive, unprecedented crowds. He understood intrinsically that the future was not just hamburgers, the future was speed. Bell's hamburger stand was doing acceptable business, but he recognized the market was saturated. He was just one more hamburger stand in a city full of them. His critical observation, the one that would change his life, happened when he looked across the street. While he was competing with dozens of hamburger joints, he noticed that a small family-owned Mexican restaurant called the Mitla Cafe had long, consistent lines every night. The Mitla Cafe, founded in 1937 by Lucia and Salvador Rodriguez, was a local institution. It served authentic Mexican dishes, but its most popular item, particularly for American customers, was its 19-cent hard-shell taco. Bell observed this phenomenon for months. He saw that the Mitla Cafe's customers were willing to wait a long time for this single item. He identified the core operational bottleneck of Mexican food. It was slow to make. At the Mitla Cafe, each taco shell was fried to order. It was a craft and it could not be rushed. Bell's innovation was not culinary. It was logistical. He sought to apply the high-speed, standardized model of the McDonald's hamburger stand to the high-demand Mexican taco. He wanted to build a McDonald's for tacos. He began experimenting in his own hamburger stand's kitchen after hours. His first challenge was the shell. Frying shells to order was the bottleneck. His solution, which would become the foundation of the entire industry, was the pre-formed, pre-fried, hard-shell taco. He developed a system of wire baskets that allowed him to fry dozens of shells in bulk at the beginning of the day. This single innovation eliminated the primary bottleneck. His second challenge was the filling. He needed a product that was fast, consistent, and cheap. He developed a pre-seasoned ground beef mixture that could be cooked in large batches and held at temperature, ready to be scooped and served. This, combined with pre-shredded cheese and lettuce, meant that an entire taco could be assembled in under 30 seconds, the same time it took to assemble a McDonald's hamburger. As the user outline notes, this standardization process cut his production costs by an estimated 40% and allowed him to serve a Mexican-style product at a fast food price. The local Mexican community was, by some accounts, not impressed. The pre-fried shell was seen as a cheap imitation, but Bell wasn't targeting the local Mexican community. He was targeting the same white working-class car culture families that were lining up at McDonald's. In 1954, Bell took his new system and partnered with other businessmen to open his first taco-focused stands. One, located in a neighboring community, was called Taco Tia. Bell's focus on speed and his 19-cent price point made the stand an immediate success. However, Bell's partnerships were fraught with conflict. He was an innovator but a difficult partner, and he clashed with his co-owners over vision and operations. He eventually sold his shares in Taco Tia. He then helped his future franchisee Kermit Becky launch another concept, El Taco, in 1958, before splitting from that partnership as well. By 1962, Bell was independent and ready to build his own brand. He found a small 400-square-foot building in Downey, California, a working-class suburb of Los Angeles. This building would become the first official Taco Bell. The building itself was a key part of the marketing strategy. Bell hired architect Robert McKay to design a building that would instantly signal Mexican to American consumers who had likely never been to Mexico. The result was the Mission-style architecture, a small walk-up window with no indoor seating, fronted by large simulated stucco arches and a single bell. It was a stereotype, but it was effective. It was non-threatening, clean, and clearly communicated its product. The menu was aggressively simple: tacos, burritos, beans, and drinks. The 19-cent price point was the primary marketing tool. It positioned the taco as an impulse buy, a snack. The combination of novelty, speed, and low price was an immediate success. Bell had successfully created a new category of fast food. Bell understood from his time in San Bernardino that the key to rapid capital-light growth was the franchise model. He had seen how the McDonald brothers had been slow to franchise, allowing Ray Kroc to take over. Bell would not make the same mistake. In 1964, he sold the first Taco Bell franchise to Kermit Becky, a retired Los Angeles police officer and his former partner from the El Taco venture. This set the template for the company's early expansion. Bell often targeted ex-military or ex-police officers as his first franchisees. He believed they possessed the discipline necessary to follow his rigid operational system. He developed a 75-page manual similar to McDonald's QSCV doctrine that standardized every single step of the operation. This franchise-led system was highly effective. As the outline data indicates, by 1970, just 8 years after the Downey location opened, there were 100 Taco Bell restaurants. By 1978, the chain had grown to 700 stores. This rapid regional growth attracted the attention of corporate America. The 1970s were the era of the restaurant wars and corporate diversification. Major conglomerates were scrambling to buy fast food chains to add to their portfolios. Glenn Bell, now in his 50s and extremely wealthy, was ready to cash out. He had built the system, but he did not have the desire or the massive capital required to fight a national war against McDonald's and Burger King. In 1978, PepsiCo, Inc. made Bell an offer he could not refuse. PepsiCo acquired the 700-store Taco Bell chain for approximately $125 million in stock. This acquisition was the single most important event in Taco Bell's history. It marked the end of the founder-led era and the beginning of the corporate era. PepsiCo's strategy was simple: diversification and beverage dominance. At the time, PepsiCo was in a global cola war with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was the dominant player in the fountain drink market. The syrup sold to restaurants. By acquiring major restaurant chains, PepsiCo was not just buying a food business, it was buying a guaranteed distribution channel. It was, in effect, forcing hundreds of new restaurants to sell Pepsi products, instantly locking out Coca-Cola from those locations. The PepsiCo acquisition provided two things Taco Bell desperately needed for national growth: massive capital and world-class marketing. First, the capital. PepsiCo immediately funded Taco Bell's expansion from a regional player into a national behemoth. It pushed the brand into all 50 states and began its first, often fumbling, international ventures. It professionalized the entire supply chain, building out the logistics required for a 5,000-store operation. Second, the marketing. Under Glen Bell, marketing was local and price-focused. Under PepsiCo, Taco Bell was given a multi-hundred-million-dollar national advertising budget. PepsiCo's marketers understood that Taco Bell's value was not its authenticity, it was its attitude. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Taco Bell was defined by high-budget, aggressive, and irreverent advertising. This culminated in the 1997 Taco Bell Chihuahua campaign. This campaign, featuring a small dog with the catchphrase, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," was a massive cultural event. The campaign was not without controversy. It was later the subject of a $42 million lawsuit from its creators, but its impact was undeniable. It cemented the brand's identity as fun, rebellious, and slightly edgy. It was the perfect preconditioning for the brand's future focus, the youth demographic. However, by the mid-1990s, PepsiCo's strategy began to fail. Its investors had become critical of the restaurant division. The QSR business is capital-intensive, low-margin, and operationally complex. It requires managing massive real estate holdings, complex food supply chains, and hundreds of thousands of low-wage employees. This was a drag on PepsiCo's core business, selling high-margin, low-overhead soda concentrate. The restaurant division was seen as a drain on PepsiCo's stock price. In response to this shareholder pressure, PepsiCo announced in 1997 that it would spin off its entire restaurant portfolio. In October 1997, PepsiCo spun off KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell into a new, independent, publicly traded company called Tricon Global Restaurants. This 1997 spinoff solidified the modern business model of Taco Bell. The new Yum! Brands entity was not at its heart a restaurant operator. It was a global franchisor. Its primary business goal was to get out of the business of owning restaurants. It aggressively accelerated its capital-light franchise strategy, selling off corporate-owned stores to large franchise operators. As the user outline notes, today, well over 80% of the 8,000-plus Taco Bell stores are owned and operated by franchisees. This model is financially brilliant for the parent company. Yum! Brands is insulated from the high costs and risks of store operations. Its main revenue stream comes from collecting franchise fees and royalties. This structure, established in 1997, allowed Taco Bell to focus entirely on its two core competencies: global marketing and product innovation. It had successfully transitioned from Glen Bell's founder-led operation into a massive corporate-led marketing machine, setting the stage for the conflicts and crises of the 21st century. Fake beef and 120% employee turnover. The 1997 spinoff from PepsiCo into Yum! Brands was a declaration of financial independence, but it also marked the beginning of Taco Bell's most volatile and dangerous era. The protection of a massive parent corporation was gone, replaced by the relentless quarterly demands of the public stock market. This new reality exposed the company to a series of intense, near constant challenges that would define it for the next 3 decades. The brand's survival would be threatened not just by external forces, but by a deep structural conflict built into its own business model. The history of the modern Taco Bell is a history of fighting a war on 4 fronts: against its own operators, against its own staff, against its market competitors, and against a series of existential crises that nearly destroyed its reputation. The most significant and damaging conflict was internal. The very capital-light franchise model that made Yum! Brands so profitable for its shareholders created a state of perpetual low-grade civil war with its franchisees. The core of the conflict is a structural misalignment of goals. Yum! Brands, as the parent company and franchisor, makes its money from top-line sales. Its revenue is primarily derived from a percentage-based royalty on the gross sales of each restaurant. Therefore, Yum! Brands is incentivized to push any product, promotion, or program that increases total revenue, regardless of its cost. The franchisee, the independent business owner, operates on an entirely different model. They must survive on bottom-line profit. After they pay for food, labor, rent, and Yum's royalty fees, they must have enough left over to make a living. This fundamental divide, top-line focus versus bottom-line survival, means that what is good for Yum! Brands is often financially devastating for its operators. This tension exploded into public view between 2020 and 2022. As the user outline notes, a significant number of franchisees, who collectively own thousands of restaurants, filed lawsuits against the corporation. Their legal allegations laid bare the conflict. The franchisees accused Yum! Brands of a breach of contract, alleging that the parent company was unfairly and, in their view, illegally manipulating the system. One of the primary grievances was over mandatory low-margin promotions. Taco Bell's corporate marketing strategy is built on aggressive value deals, like the $5 box or the $1 Cravings menu. While these deals are incredibly effective at driving customer traffic and increasing top-line sales, they are often sold at or below the franchisee's break-even cost. The franchisees allege that they were being forced to lose money on every value item sold, effectively subsidizing Yum's national marketing campaigns with their own small business profits. This conflict extended to the very innovation that the brand celebrates. Corporate headquarters, in its endless quest for a new, younger demographic, began pushing a variety of complex new menu items. The 2020s era push into vegan and plant-based options was a clear example. From a corporate marketing perspective, this was a necessary move to capture the millennial and Gen Z market. But from an operational perspective, it was a nightmare for franchisees. The operators argued that these new ingredients were operationally complex. The Taco Bell make line, the assembly line system Glenn Bell had perfected, was built for speed and a limited non-perishable set of ingredients. New items, like the vegan potato taco, required separate storage, separate prep stations to avoid cross-contamination, and new complex training for staff. This, they argued, slowed down their drive-through times. In the fast food world, a 10-second delay in the drive-through is a significant operational failure. The franchisees saw the vegan menu not as an innovation, but as a corporate mandated drag on their efficiency, implemented without any regard for their bottom line. This internal war over margins and operations had a direct, catastrophic effect on the brand's second front, its labor crisis. The franchise owners, with their profits squeezed from above, had no choice but to squeeze their employees from below. This created a toxic work environment. Unhappy owners, unable to afford competitive wages, led to unhappy managers, who in turn oversaw a constantly churning staff of line-level employees. This culminated in the staggering statistic noted in the user outline. In 2022, employee turnover at many Taco Bell locations reportedly hit 120%. This is a number that is difficult to comprehend from a business perspective. It means that on average, every single position in the restaurant was replaced more than once per year. Such a high turnover rate is not just a human resources problem. It is an operational apocalypse. It means no employee ever stays long enough to become proficient. The stores are in a state of permanent training, leading to constant errors in food quality, poor customer service, slower drive-through times, and a lost cause store culture where no one is invested in the brand's success. This instability was mirrored at the very top of the corporation. The period from 2020 to 2025 was marked by constant leadership changes. CEO David Gibbs, who took over Yum! Brands, was tasked with navigating the brand through the COVID-19 pandemic. This crisis forced a mandatory go digital transformation, requiring franchisees to invest heavily in new, expensive digital menu boards, mobile app integration, and delivery systems. For the franchisees who were already suing the company over costs, this was another unfunded mandate from corporate, further exacerbating the internal conflict and straining the entire system to its breaking point. While Taco Bell was fighting a civil war with its own franchisees and employees, it was also losing a conventional war on its external market front. The brand's position in the U.S. fast food landscape is permanently precarious. It is not a dominant player. As the outline data shows, Taco Bell's share of the total U.S. fast food market is only 5%. This is a rounding error compared to the market-defining giants like McDonald's, which controls 20 to 30% of the entire market. Taco Bell is not competing to be number one. It is in a perpetual fight for survival as a niche alternative. It is surrounded by enemies. On one side, it has the burger giants who can leverage their massive scale to compete on price. On the other side, it has fast casual rivals like Chipotle, which have successfully captured the premium Mexican-style market, a market Taco Bell cannot enter because of its low-price reputation. On its third flank are its direct low-price competitors like Del Taco, which fights it for every customer on the West Coast. This multi-front war forces Taco Bell into a strategic trap. Its single most important weapon is its low price. The value menu is not just a promotion. It is the brand's entire identity for a huge portion of its customer base. This reliance on being cheap creates a severe vulnerability. The company is in a constant, brutal price war with competitors who have deeper pockets. McDonald's can afford to lose money on a dollar menu item to drive traffic. Taco Bell franchisees cannot. This pressure on pricing has led to a measurable erosion of profits. As the outline data confirms, the brand's gross profit margin declined from 25% to 20% between 2020 and 2025. This was a direct result of rising commodity costs. The price of beef, wheat for tortillas, and agricultural produce skyrocketed post-pandemic, but Taco Bell was unable to pass these costs on to its price-sensitive, low-income demographic without risking losing them to a competitor. It was forced to absorb the cost, hollowing out its own profitability and further infuriating its franchisees. This fragile forefront war, corporate versus franchisee, management versus labor, Taco Bell versus competitors, and high costs versus low prices, set the stage for the brand's fourth most existential crisis, public trust. This crisis exploded in 2011 with the beef lawsuit. A class action lawsuit was filed in California alleging that Taco Bell's seasoned beef was not, in fact, beef. The lawsuit was a direct, calculated assault on the company's core product. The legal filing claimed that the product contained only 35% actual meat, with the rest being a proprietary slurry of binders, fillers, and extenders marketed internally as taco meat filling. This allegation was not a minor legal dispute. It was a cultural grenade. It went viral instantly. Late-night talk shows, social media, and national news outlets all picked up the story. The allegation was visceral, disgusting, and, to many consumers, believable. For a brand that sells billions of tacos annually, an allegation that its beef wasn't real was an existential threat. The company's sales immediately plummeted. As the user outline notes, the brand suffered an estimated 5% drop in revenue almost overnight, a catastrophic loss for a low-margin business. The public's trust was shattered. Taco Bell's eventual recovery from this lawsuit would become a case study in its own right. The company, in a high-risk move, publicly disclosed the actual ingredients of its seasoned beef, proving it was 88% premium beef and 12% a signature recipe of water for moisture, spices, and oats, starch, and other standard ingredients. The lawsuit was eventually dropped by the plaintiffs, but the damage was done. The number 35% was now permanently associated with the brand. Taco Bell had won the legal battle, but it had to fight a much longer war to win back public trust. The brand was now permanently associated with fake meat, a stigma that would take years and hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing to erase. Just as it was beginning to recover its reputation from the 2011 beef crisis, Taco Bell was hit by a different, more persistent, and more dangerous threat: food safety and hygiene. This is not an accidental risk. It is a structural flaw built into its menu. Unlike its burger-focused competitors, whose supply chains are built on frozen, pre-cooked, and heat-treated products, Taco Bell's brand promise depends on a complex supply chain of fresh, raw produce. Every taco and burrito is topped with shredded lettuce, diced tomatoes, and onions. This heavy reliance on raw agricultural products makes Taco Bell infinitely more vulnerable to contamination than a brand like McDonald's, whose entire system is designed to cook to death any potential pathogens. In 2015, this vulnerability became a reality when an E. coli outbreak was linked to its produce. Then again, as the outline notes, in 2024, another multi-state E. coli outbreak was traced back to its vegetables. These incidents were not minor. They triggered massive, expensive product recalls and, as the outline notes, led to immediate 2 to 3% sales drops in the affected regions. This was not just a domestic problem. This perception of poor quality and American fast food had a tangible impact on its global expansion. As the user's outline notes, social boycotts and general health concerns in European markets contributed to a 10% revenue decline in 2023 to 2025. European consumers, with a different regulatory and cultural standard for food, were highly skeptical of Taco Bell's quality. By the early 2000s, the company was in a perfect storm. It was fighting its own franchisees in court. It was losing its staff faster than it could hire them. It was being squeezed to death on price by its competitors. And its core product was now publicly associated with fake meat and E. coli. The company was on the brink of becoming a failed brand. Its survival would depend on a radical decision. If it could not win the war on food, it would have to change the battlefield. It would have to stop selling food and start selling a lifestyle. From national joke to global giant. The period following 2011 was a perfect storm for Taco Bell. The company was facing a multi-front war, a legal and public relations crisis from the beef lawsuit, a structural profit squeeze from high food costs and low market share, and a deep internal conflict with its own franchisees and employees. The brand was on the brink of failure. Its recovery was not a gradual stabilization. It was a rapid, aggressive, and multi-pronged counteroffensive. This recovery, which took place over the next decade, was built on three distinct phases. First, winning back public trust through transparency. Second, reigniting consumer excitement through massive product innovation. And third, leveraging a global pandemic to build a data-driven, digital-first infrastructure. The first and most immediate battle was for public trust. The 2011 beef lawsuit was an existential threat. The allegation that the company's core product was only 35% meat was not just a legal claim, it was a devastating cultural meme. It confirmed the public's worst suspicions about fast food. The company's sales plummeted, with the user outline noting a 5% drop in revenue almost overnight. This was a catastrophic loss for a low-margin business. The brand was, in short, a national joke. Taco Bell's response became a case study in modern crisis management. Instead of the traditional no comment or a quiet legal settlement, the company went on an aggressive, high-risk public counteroffensive. It launched a massive multi-million-dollar media campaign, taking out full-page advertisements in national newspapers, including the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, with the bold headline, "Thank you for suing us." This approach was psychologically brilliant. It was not defensive, it was offensive. It did not apologize, it expressed confidence. The ad copy itself was direct, listing the false allegations of the lawsuit and then directly refuting them. The company did not hide behind legal jargon. It confronted the 35% number head on. It then released for the first time the actual ingredients of its product, a move that was, at the time, unprecedented for a major fast food chain. The company publicly stated that its seasoned beef was 88% premium USDA-inspected beef and 12% a signature recipe. By breaking down the 12%, Taco Bell demystified the filler. The signature recipe, the company explained, consisted of water, spices, and a mixture of oats, starch, and other standard ingredients that help provide texture. By being transparent, Taco Bell successfully reframed the narrative. Fillers and binders sounded deceptive and industrial. Oats, starch, and spices for texture sounded like a recipe. This campaign of radical transparency was incredibly effective. It replaced a negative, false, and specific number with a positive, defensible, and good enough number. The public, it turned out, did not expect the beef to be 100%. They just didn't want to be lied to. By admitting to the 12% recipe, the brand paradoxically regained its authenticity. The lawsuit was eventually dropped by the plaintiffs, who had failed to produce any evidence for their 35% claim. The crisis was contained. Taco Bell had paid millions in advertising and lost revenue, but it had won the narrative war. It had also learned its new permanent lesson. Transparency is a marketing tool. With the immediate legal and PR crisis managed, Taco Bell faced its second deeper problem. Its brand was stale and its sales were stagnant. It needed a massive headline-grabbing win to bring customers back into its stores. It found that silver bullet in 2012 with the launch of the Doritos Locos Tacos. This was not just a new menu item, it was a masterpiece of co-branding and food engineering. The concept itself was deceptively simple. What if the taco shell was not just a container, but was made out of nacho cheese Doritos? The idea had existed inside the company for years, but the R&D challenge was immense. How could they engineer a taco shell that had the exact flavor profile, texture, and cheese dust of a Dorito, yet was strong enough to hold ingredients and not break? The partnership with Frito-Lay was a critical synergy. It took years of testing. The final product, which launched in March 2012, was arguably the most anticipated fast food product launch in history. The company's marketing was immense, treating the DLT not as a new taco, but as a cultural event. The success was immediate and staggering. The user outline notes that the company sold 1 billion DLTs in the first year alone. This number is difficult to overstate. It equates to over 2.7 million Doritos Locos Tacos sold every single day for 365 days. The demand was so massive that it fundamentally strained the company's supply chain and hiring. As the outline data indicates, the DLT is credited with creating over 15,000 new jobs across the franchise system just to handle the new volume. This single product launch did more than just boost quarterly profits. It single-handedly pulled the entire brand out of its post-2011 slump. It proved that Taco Bell's path forward was not through competing with McDonald's on price, but by out-innovating them on product. The DLT cemented Taco Bell's new identity as a food innovator and a stunt food creator. It was a product perfectly targeted at the high-growth, novelty-seeking Gen Z and millennial male demographic. The Doritos Locos Tacos was not just a recovery tool. It was the foundation of the brand's entire modern marketing strategy. The company continued this innovation-led recovery through the 2010s, but it would face its next great test, along with the rest of the world, in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic should have been devastating for the restaurant industry. Government-mandated lockdowns forced the closure of all dine-in operations, a move that bankrupted thousands of independent and chain restaurants. Taco Bell, however, was uniquely, and perhaps luckily, prepared. As the user outline notes, the company's business model was already 70% drive-through, while its competitors in the fast casual space, like Chipotle, had to scramble to build a drive-through infrastructure from scratch. Taco Bell's operations were perfectly suited to a no-contact world. While its dine-in sales vanished, its drive-through business exploded. But the company didn't just survive, it adapted and accelerated. Under the leadership of Yum! Brands CEO David Gibbs, Taco Bell used the pandemic as a catalyst to force a digital transformation. With dine-in lobbies closed, the new operational bottleneck was the drive-through line itself, which was now wrapping around buildings and spilling into the streets. The only way to increase throughput was to get the ordering and payment out of the line. The company aggressively pushed its Taco Bell app and loyalty program. What had been a slow-growing marketing tool was now transformed into a critical piece of operations. The company launched massive marketing campaigns, encouraging customers to use mobile order and pay. This digital pivot was a huge success. As the outline data indicates, this push resulted in a 25% increase in digital transactions. This was crucial for two reasons. First, operationally, a prepaid mobile order takes 10 to 20 seconds less to process at the window, dramatically increasing the speed and capacity of the drive-thru. Second, it was a data capture goldmine. Every customer who downloaded the app was now a known entity, allowing Taco Bell to build a direct marketing relationship, bypassing traditional media and sending push notifications for new deals. This strategy of leveraging its structural drive-through advantage and its new digital infrastructure was a massive success. As the outline highlights, the company posted a rapid 12% revenue rebound in 2021. While the rest of the restaurant industry was burning, Taco Bell had captured a massive share of stomach from its failing competitors. With its U.S. operations stabilized, its trust rebuilt, and its digital platform in place, Taco Bell was now ready to execute the final phase of its recovery: serious global expansion. For decades, the brand had failed to gain traction internationally. Its Americanized version of Mexican food was met with skepticism in Europe, and most comically, in Mexico itself, where its attempts to launch in the 1990s and 2000s failed spectacularly. The new strategy, learned from its sister company KFC's success in China, was glocalization. Instead of exporting a one-size-fits-all American menu, the company adapted its products to local palates. This was the key to unlocking new, high-growth markets. As the user outline notes, this strategy was highly effective. In India, a market where a beef-based menu is a cultural non-starter, Taco Bell launched a menu that is over 50% vegetarian. It features localized items like the tikka masala burrito, masala spiced tacos, and paneer-based products. This flexibility, this willingness to abandon its core product to protect its model, is the lesson. This flexible approach, combined with a focus on markets with a growing young middle class, led to the 20% annual growth rate in key markets like India and China. The financial results of this complete transformation are clear. As the outline data indicates, by 2024, the company had grown to over 8,000 stores in 30-plus countries, generating $2.3 billion in revenue. Its success was built on a new, multi-pronged menu strategy that allowed it to be two brands at once. It retained its original price-sensitive base with its $1 to $5 value menu. At the same time, it captured the high-growth, high-income, and media-savvy Gen Z demographic with its 2024 vegan-certified options and stunt food items. As the outline data notes, this combined strategy drove an 8% sales increase. The company's digital strategy had also matured into a global tool. The 20 million app users noted in the outline are not just in the US, they are a global network of known customers. This digital-first, locally adapted model allowed Taco Bell to successfully capture 10% of the global Mexican-style fast food market. Most importantly, it had won the battle for the next generation, showing a 15% growth in its target Gen Z demographic. The recovery was complete. Taco Bell had transformed itself from a struggling, scandal-plagued value brand into a high-growth, digital-first international competitor. The $50 million pivot to T-shirts and Crocs. By the mid-2010s, Taco Bell had successfully navigated its 2011 beef crisis and was driving significant sales with product innovations like the Doritos Locos Tacos. However, the company's leadership under the umbrella of Yum! Brands faced a severe long-term strategic problem: market saturation. The core business of selling fast food in the United States was, and is, a low-margin, high-competition, and brutal landscape. As the user outline notes, the domestic fast food market was growing at a slow, mature rate of only 4% annually. Taco Bell, with its 5% market share, was permanently locked in a brutal price war with giants like McDonald's. It could not win a war of scale, and it could not win a war on price without destroying its franchisees. The company had reached a strategic ceiling. It could not simply sell more tacos forever. To secure its future and find new avenues for growth, Taco Bell's leadership understood it needed to execute a radical pivot. It had to change the fundamental reason for its existence. It needed to diversify not just its menu, but its entire identity. The strategy was to stop being a fast food company that people used and to start becoming a lifestyle brand that people joined. This was not a side project. It was a core business imperative designed to achieve two goals. First, to create new, high-margin revenue streams that were not dependent on the volatile food supply chain. And second, to build a deep tribal-like cultural bond with its key demographic, Gen Z, insulating it from price wars. This pivot was not an accident. It was the deliberate vision of a new marketing leadership team, most notably Marisa Thalberg, who joined the company in 2015 and eventually became its global chief brand officer. Thalberg, who would later be inducted into the Forbes CMO Hall of Fame, operated on a simple, powerful insight. Taco Bell was not just a restaurant. To its youngest, most loyal fans, it was already a meme and a core part of their social identity. College students were taking senior portraits at Taco Bell. Couples were getting married at the Las Vegas Cantina. Fans were already creating their own unofficial merchandise. Thalberg's strategy was not to create this fan culture, but to amplify, legitimize, and monetize it. The goal, as she articulated it, was to make Taco Bell a protagonist in its customers' lives, not just a service provider. The company needed to move from a transaction-based relationship to an identity-based one. The first phase of this pivot was the formalization of its merchandise business. This began around 2015 with the launch of the Taco Bell Taco Shop, a dedicated e-commerce platform. This was the company's first controlled experiment. Initially, the store sold what one would expect: branded t-shirts with the 1980s logo, beanies, and phone cases designed to look like hot sauce packets. It was simple, low-effort merchandise for existing superfans. This was level one of the strategy. It was about acknowledging the fan base that already existed. The sales were modest, but it proved the concept. People would pay money to be walking billboards for the brand. With this proof of concept, Thalberg and her team initiated level 2 of the pivot. To become a true lifestyle brand, Taco Bell had to break out of its own e-commerce ecosystem. It needed a cosign from a legitimate cultural player. It needed to be seen not as merch, but as fashion. This led to the 2017 collaboration with Forever 21. This partnership was a deliberate, strategic masterstroke. Forever 21 was not a high-fashion luxury brand. It was a perfect parallel to Taco Bell itself. It was a massive global retailer with a dominant, trend-driven Gen Z and millennial customer base. It was built on speed, affordability, and a slightly rebellious, social media-fueled identity. As Forever 21's Vice President of Merchandising, Linda Chang stated at the time, "Food, like fashion, is driven by trends and culture." This single quote was the entire thesis of the collaboration. The launch of the Forever 21 X Taco Bell collection was not treated like a simple merchandise drop. It was executed as a high-fashion event. On October 10th, 2017, the companies held a massive, exclusive runway show in the heart of the Fashion District in downtown Los Angeles. They invited fashion editors, influencers, and superfans. This was a deliberate act of theater. It was designed to generate media buzz and frame the collection as a serious cultural moment. The products themselves were key. This was not just a Taco Bell logo slapped on a cheap t-shirt. The 13-piece collection was designed by Forever 21's team to be genuinely fashion-forward. It included cropped hoodies, shiny metallic anorak jackets, and, most famously, a colorful bodysuit designed to look exactly like a fire hot sauce packet, complete with the slogan, "Don't wait up." This was the key insight. The products were not just merch. They were costumes and memes made wearable. Marisa Thalberg described the line's philosophy. "We believe this collection is going to be everything they would expect from us. Original, affordable, creative, a little quirky, and definitely fun." The collection hit stores and the Forever 21 website the next day, October 11th, and sold out almost immediately. The effectiveness of this pivot was immense, and it was measured on two distinct metrics: The first was direct revenue. While specific figures for this collection were not released, the user outline indicates this new merchandise strategy, which was kicked into high gear by the Forever 21 launch, would grow into a stable $50 million per year ancillary revenue stream. This is a crucial figure. It represents a 5 to 10% increase in non-food income. In short, Taco Bell's marketing department had successfully created a new high-margin profit center for the company. The second metric was cultural relevance. The Forever 21 collaboration was a viral explosion. It was not just a product, it was a story. It generated thousands of news articles and, as the outline data indicates, was a key driver of the 1 billion TikTok views. The brand's merchandise strategy would eventually accumulate. It was a massive earned media campaign that the company did not have to pay for. In fact, its customers were paying it. The collaboration successfully blurred the line between brand merchandise and actual fashion, permanently repositioning Taco Bell in the cultural landscape. It was no longer just a fast food joint. It was a cool brand that was in on the joke. This single successful launch opened the floodgates. It proved Thalberg's thesis that Taco Bell's brand love was a quantifiable, monetizable asset. The company had now established a new playbook. The success of the Forever 21 partnership would be replicated and expanded, leading the brand to push even deeper into new, unexpected lifestyle categories, transforming its identity one collaboration at a time. This was the foundation of the modern Taco Bell. The 2017 Forever 21 collaboration was the proof of concept. It demonstrated that Taco Bell's brand equity was strong enough to transcend its food category and function as a legitimate fashion statement. More importantly, it established the hype model. Partner with a category-leading brand, create a limited edition product line, use scarcity to drive media buzz, and let the fans' social media activity serve as the primary marketing campaign. With this playbook in hand, Taco Bell's marketing team, led by Marissa Thalberg and later Taylor Montgomery, began to systematically and surgically deploy this strategy across the entire lifestyle and apparel industry. The goal was no longer just to be in fashion, it was to use fashion to solve specific business problems and reach new niche demographics. This Level 3 strategy was about targeted co-branding. The company stopped just broadcasting its fun message and started partnering with brands that had their own distinct tribal followings. This allowed Taco Bell to, in effect, acquire new customer identities by association. A prime example of this was the 2019 collaboration with DIFF Charitable Eyewear. This partnership was strategically brilliant. It moved the brand up market. While Forever 21 was a fast fashion partner, aligning with the brand's low price point, DIFF was a premium accessible brand. Its sunglasses retailed for over $100, a price point far removed from the $1 value menu. The collaboration featured 5 unique pairs of sunglasses, including aviators and blue light blocking glasses. The designs were subtle, not kitschy. Some featured a small, repeating hot sauce packet flame logo on the frames. Others, like the Bella shades, used a bold sunset-colored lens to evoke the brand's color palette. The reason for this was twofold. First, it targeted a Kardashian-level influencer demographic, a group that had championed the DIFF brand. It associated Taco Bell with a higher-end California chic lifestyle. Second, it introduced a charitable component. As the user outline notes, DIFF Eyewear has a one-for-one social mission, providing eye exams, glasses, and surgery to those in need. By partnering with DIFF, Taco Bell was able to purchase social consciousness. It was a marketing move to counter the negative public relations from its health scares and low-wage labor issues. It allowed the brand to align itself with a positive social cause, which is a key driver for millennial and Gen Z consumers. The collection was accompanied by custom-designed taco-shaped glasses cases and hot sauce packet cleaning cloths, creating a complete, shareable unboxing experience. This was followed by a series of other targeted partnerships. The company launched a line of swimwear with Salty Crew, a surfing and fishing apparel brand, to solidify its West Coast Baja-inspired roots. It partnered with OPI, a leader in the cosmetics industry, to release nail polish collections with names tied to the menu, directly targeting a young female demographic that might not have been engaged by the male-centric stunt food marketing. In 2022, Taco Bell executed another high-profile collaboration, this time with the premium travel and luggage brand CALPAK. This was a direct expansion of the lifestyle concept, moving from what you wear to how you travel. The collaboration featured a full set of luggage, a fire carry-on suitcase, a hot duffel bag, a Diablo crossbody bag, and mild packing cubes. The items were designed in the brand's signature hot sauce packet colors. This partnership was a pure lifestyle play. It was designed to create content for Instagram, associating the Taco Bell brand with youth, travel, and adventure. It was, once again, a massive earned media success, but the culmination of the fashion pivot, the event that best demonstrates the maturity of the strategy, was the 2023 collaboration with Crocs. This partnership was, in many ways, more perfect than the Forever 21 deal. By 2023, Crocs had completed its own brand transformation, moving from a cringe comfort shoe to a high-fashion Gen Z status symbol. It was the unofficial uniform of the post-comfort pandemic generation. Crocs' entire business model had become, like Taco Bell's, reliant on high-heat limited edition hype drops. The collaboration was for the Taco Bell X Crocs Mellow Slide. The design was inspired by the brand's signature colors, a black and purple ombre fade. The footbeds were imprinted with the brand's slogan, Live and Maz, on the left and right foot, respectively. The launch was a masterclass in using digital infrastructure to drive hype. As the user outline data indicates, the company sold 100,000 pairs of these slides, which retailed for $60. But how it sold them is the key. The company used its most valuable asset, its loyalty program. The first drop of the shoes was not available to the general public. Instead, it was an exclusive pre-sale available only to Taco Bell Rewards members who had achieved Fire Tier status. This was a strategically brilliant move. It did three things simultaneously. First, it instantly drove thousands of new signups to the Taco Bell app from people who wanted access to the sale. Second, it rewarded the brand's most loyal, high-spend customers with an exclusive high-status perk, deepening their loyalty. Third, it manufactured extreme scarcity, which caused the collaboration to sell out immediately and dominate social media, ensuring that the second drop for the general public would be an even bigger event. The user outline data, which notes a $50 million per year ancillary revenue stream and a 15% increase in U.S. loyalty, is the direct result of this sophisticated multi-year strategy. The pivot to fashion was not a gimmick. It was a deliberate, data-driven, and highly profitable business plan. It successfully diversified the company's revenue, turned its marketing department into a profit center, and, most importantly, fused the brand's identity with the personal identity of its target demographic. The company was no longer just selling food, it was selling status, culture, and a sense of belonging. This strategy was not limited to just apparel. it extended to all facets of the lifestyle concept. In 2024, the company partnered with Wildfang, an inclusive, fearless fashion brand known for its coveralls, to release a Taco Bell X Wildfang coverall. This item, which retailed for $178, was notable for its functionality. It was designed with 20 pockets specifically shaped to hold Taco Bell menu items, including a Crunchwrap Supreme pocket. This was the strategy at its most mature, a high-fashion, high-price point item that was also a functional, self-aware meme. The company even partnered with the game Loteria to create a custom, branded version of the traditional Mexican board game, further integrating itself into the culture it had originally appropriated. The analysis is clear. This was a multi-pronged, systematic attack to take over every aspect of its fans' lives, from their closets and shoe racks to their travel bags and game nights. This physical merchandise dominance set the stage for its even larger, more ambitious pivot into the digital and experiential world. The Level 3 strategy, as demonstrated by the partnerships with DIFF Eyewear, CALPAKWILDFANG, and Crocs, reveals the full sophistication of Taco Bell's diversification. This was not a series of disconnected stunts. It was a systematic, multi-year plan to solve the company's core business problems: market saturation and brand identity. The analysis of this strategy's effectiveness must be broken down into two parts: the direct financial impact and the indirect cultural impact. First, the direct financial impact. As the user outline notes, this pivot into merchandise grew into a stable $50 million per year business. This number is not trivial. In the low-margin, high-volume fast food world, a $50 million revenue stream from high-margin goods like t-shirts and plastic slides is a significant operational victory. It represents a 5 to 10% increase in ancillary revenue. This is the definition of successful diversification. This new revenue stream is structurally superior to the brand's core business. The price of beef, lettuce, and cheese is volatile and subject to supply chain shocks, as the 2024 E. coli scare proved. This volatility, as noted in the outline, squeezed the brand's gross margins from 25% down to 20%. The margin on a $60 pair of co-branded Crocs, however, is stable, predictable, and vastly higher. This $50 million business, therefore, acts as a crucial financial hedge against the inherent risks of the food industry. Most importantly, it successfully transformed the marketing department from a cost center into a profit center. A traditional marketing campaign requires a company to spend millions of dollars on television ads or billboards with the hope of maybe increasing sales. Taco Bell's new model is a self-perpetuating financial loop. This loop works in 3 stages. First, Taco Bell spends a fraction of its marketing budget to co-develop a product with a brand like Crocs. Second, the hype and scarcity of the product launch generates millions of dollars in free-earned media from news outlets and social media. Third, the customers pay the company for the privilege of owning the advertisement. Taco Bell has successfully convinced its fans to pay it for its own marketing. The second, and far more important impact, is cultural. This is where the 15% increase in U.S. loyalty, noted in the user outline, comes from. This pivot was a direct response to how the Gen Z demographic builds brand relationships. This generation is less responsive to traditional advertising and more focused on identity signaling and brand tribalism. Wearing a Taco Bell X Wildfang coverall is not just a fashion choice, it is a cultural in-joke. It signals to other members of the tribe that you are part of the Live Maz culture. Taco Bell's marketing team understood this. They deliberately engineered a feedback loop between their food business and their merchandise business. The 2023 Crocs collaboration is the single best example of this system in action. The pre-sale for the $60 slides was not available to the general public. It was an exclusive perk available only to members of the Taco Bell Rewards app who had achieved Fire tier status. This was a strategically brilliant move that accomplished 4 goals simultaneously. It instantly drove thousands of new signups to the Taco Bell app from people who wanted access to the sale. It also rewarded the brand's most loyal, high-spend customers with an exclusive high-status perk, deepening their loyalty. Furthermore, it created a new powerful incentive for existing mild or hot tier customers to spend more money on tacos and burritos in order to level up to Fire status for the next exclusive drop. Finally, this manufactured extreme scarcity ensured the product would sell out immediately, dominating social media and guaranteeing that the second drop for the general public would be an even bigger event. This is the true genius of the strategy. The $50 million in merchandise sales is the symptom, not the cause of its success. The real product being sold is status. The merchandise is just a physical token of a customer's digital loyalty. This is the flywheel that competitors like McDonald's with their adult-focused Happy Meals have tried and failed to replicate. Taco Bell is not just selling a product, it is selling access. However, this high-reward strategy comes with significant structural risks, as noted in the user outline. The first and most dangerous risk is that of the fad trend. Taco Bell has successfully tied its entire brand identity to the meme culture of Gen Z. This culture, however, moves at an incredible speed. What is cool in 2024 can become cringe by 2026. Taco Bell is now on a high-speed treadmill. It must constantly find the next hot collaboration, the next authentic trend, and it must execute perfectly every single time. If it fails, or if it is a step too slow, it will instantly become the brand that your older brother liked, which is a death sentence in the youth market. The second major risk is its limited global effectiveness. This entire $50 million, 1 billion TikTok view strategy is, for now, almost exclusively a US-based phenomenon. A $178 Wild Fang coverall with Crunchwrap-shaped pockets is a niche, ironic product for a US consumer who grew up with the brand and understands its cultural context. It has almost zero cultural resonance in a new emerging market like India, Spain, or the UK. The brand tribe simply does not exist there yet, at least not with the same intensity. This means the merchandise pivot is not a tool for opening new international markets. It is a tool for deepening its relationship with its most mature market. This explains why the company must run 2 different strategies: a globalization strategy of menu adaptation abroad, and a lifestyle strategy of cultural integration at home. Finally, the outline notes the high cost of this strategy. While it is a profit center, the risk of a financial loss is high. A failed collaboration, partnering with a canceled influencer or producing 100,000 units of a product that simply doesn't sell, would not only cost millions in unsold inventory, but more dangerously, would do permanent damage to the brand's carefully crafted, cool identity. In conclusion, the pivot to fashion and merchandise was a resounding and necessary success. It solved the domestic problem of market saturation, created a new high-margin revenue stream that insulated the company from food cost volatility, and built a powerful, data-driven cultural moat around its key demographic. It transformed the marketing department from a cost center into a self-funding, content-generating machine. This success, however, is geographically limited and ties the brand to the volatile, high-speed wheel of youth culture, a risk it must manage perfectly every single day. Having conquered its fans' closets, Taco Bell was now ready for its most ambitious pivot, conquering their vacations and their phone screens. The $10 million gamble to conquer Gen Z, having successfully conquered its fans' closets and dresser drawers. With the fashion and merchandise pivot, Taco Bell's lifestyle strategy entered its second, far more ambitious and more expensive phase. The merchandise strategy was about creating physical tokens of brand loyalty. It was a high-margin, low-risk business. The next step was to create immersive experiences. The goal was to stop selling fans a t-shirt and to start, quite literally, inviting them to live inside the brand's world. This move from products to experiences was a direct response to the saturation of the media market. By 2019, traditional advertising was becoming increasingly ineffective. The brand's key demographic, Gen Z, which the user outline confirms now accounts for 40% of its customers, was notoriously ad-averse. They did not watch cable television, they used ad blockers on the internet, and they instinctively scrolled past anything that looked like a sponsored post. To break through this noise, Taco Bell could not just buy ads, it had to become the story. It needed to create cultural moments so unique that the media and its own fans would have no choice but to talk about it. This led to the creation of the most audacious experiential marketing campaign in fast food history, The Bell, a Taco Bell hotel and resort. This was not a long-term entry into the hospitality industry. It was, as the user outline notes, a high-cost, high-reward viral marketing campaign, a concentrated brand experience estimated to be a $10 million operation. The reason for this massive expenditure was to generate a volume of earned media and social media buzz that would be impossible to purchase through traditional advertising, even with a 20% budget allocation to such viral concepts. The execution of the concept was a masterclass in logistics and branding. The choice of location was deliberate: Palm Springs, California. By choosing Palm Springs, Taco Bell was strategically placing its brand in the epicenter of influencer culture. And retro chic, a location already synonymous with high-profile events like the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. It was a backdrop that its target audience already associated with cool. The event was not permanent. It was a pop-up event, running for only 5 nights in August 2019. This manufactured extreme scarcity, which was the primary mechanism for driving hype. The company did not build a new hotel. It executed a turnkey takeover. It took over the existing 70-room V Palm Springs hotel and reskinned every single square inch of it. From the moment of check-in, guests were immersed in the Taco Bell universe. They were given Taco Bell-themed key cards. The rooms were redecorated with custom-branded art, Taco Bell wallpaper, and the now famous hot sauce packet-shaped pillows on the beds. The hotel's social center, the pool, was filled with fire and Diablo sauce packet floaties, and the poolside bar served exclusive drinks like the Baja Blast Birthday Freeze. The experience was total. The hotel featured a Taco Bell-themed salon, which offered Taco Bell-inspired nail art, cinnamon twist braided hairstyles, and Taco Bell-themed fades for men. The hotel's gift shop was not the standard taco shop from the website. It was an exclusive boutique selling hotel-specific apparel, swimwear, and lifestyle items that could not be purchased anywhere else, further driving the sense of exclusivity. The food, of course, was the centerpiece. The hotel featured an exclusive menu created by Taco Bell's top test kitchen chefs, offering items that were not available at any restaurant. Guests could get Taco Bell delivered via room service. The entire experience was a physical, 360-degree manifestation of the brand. The reason for this, as the outline states, was to build an all-encompassing brand experience. It was, in effect, a content factory. Every single aspect of the hotel, from the pillows to the pool floats to the nail art, was a perfectly Instagrammable moment designed to be photographed and shared. The hotel was not really a hotel. It was a physical backdrop for its fans' social media content. Taco Bell had successfully created an event where its fans would pay them to create the marketing content that the company would then use to reach billions of people. The effectiveness of this high-cost gamble was staggering and immediate. As the user outline confirms, the hotel's 70 rooms, which were released to the public, sold out in 2 minutes. The reservation system in that brief time recorded 60,000 registration attempts, proving the manufactured demand was real. This manufactured hype translated directly into measurable sales. The user outline notes a direct 7% increase in revenue for the brand in the fiscal quarter that followed the event. This confirms the campaign was not just buzz. It was a highly effective commercial driver that re-engaged lapsed customers and drew in new ones who were exposed to the media storm. The hotel was a global news story. It was covered by Forbes, the New York Times, Condé Nast Traveler, Vogue, and every major pop culture outlet. It was media coverage that a traditional ad buy cannot purchase. It achieved its primary goal. It repositioned Taco Bell from a fast food joint to a culture-defining brand that was in on the joke. The analysis of this event is clear. It was a massive success in reinforcing the brand's identity with its core youth market. It also served as a crucial diversification of risk. As the outline notes, this pivot to experiences helps reduce the brand's total dependency on its food business, which is vulnerable to E. coli scares and supply chain issues. By proving it can generate revenue and cultural capital from a $10 million hotel event, Taco Bell established that its true product is not food. It is culture as a service. The Taco Bell Hotel was a temporary physical event. It proved the experiential model worked. But the company's next and even more significant challenge was to figure out how to make that level of experiential engagement a permanent daily part of its brand. This $10 million campaign set the stage for the brand's next, even more powerful experiential pivot, the total domination of digital social media. The Taco Bell Hotel was a massive, high-cost, temporary burst of marketing energy. It was a content factory that existed for 1 week, proving the experiential model worked and generating the 7% revenue bump noted in the outline. But the company needed a way to make this level of engagement permanent, daily, and cost-effective. The hotel was the physical beta test. The true rollout was the company's full pivot to becoming a digital media and content native brand. This was the second and more sustainable phase of the experiential pivot. This strategy was a direct response to the core demographic that now defines the brand. As the user outline indicates, Gen Z accounts for 40% of all Taco Bell customers. This demographic is notoriously difficult to reach. They are ad-averse cord cutters who do not watch traditional television, and they are masters of scrolling past any content that feels like a corporate advertisement. A 30-second TV commercial, no matter how clever, is an interruption. Taco Bell's leadership understood that to win this demographic, it could not interrupt the culture. It had to become the culture. This new strategy required a fundamental shift in budget and mindset. As the user outline notes, the company reallocated a massive 20% of its entire marketing budget away from traditional advertising and toward this new viral marketing and digital experience category. This was a multi-million-dollar gamble, betting that cultural integration would provide a higher return on investment than media buying. The chosen platform for this new war was TikTok. While other brands were still debating whether to join the platform or using it to simply post downscaled versions of their TV commercials, Taco Bell's marketing team treated it as its primary communication channel. The reason was simple. That is where its 40% customer base was spending its time. The company's strategy was not to advertise on TikTok. It was to become a native creator on TikTok. The execution of this is the key to its success. Taco Bell's digital team does not create content that sells. It creates content that engages, using the platform's own native language, memes, challenges, and inside jokes. As the user outline notes, these Gen Z challenges are a core part of the strategy. Instead of a top-down corporate message, the company encourages and amplifies user-generated content. They create a new sound, a new filter, or a new challenge, and then let their massive 40% Gen Z fan base create the marketing for them. This creates a self-perpetuating loop. A fan posts a video of themselves trying a new menu item, that video gets traction, Taco Bell duets it, or comments on it. The fan and their followers feel a sense of validation and belonging, and the cycle repeats. This is not advertising, it is community management. It is a brand tribe. The effectiveness of this strategy, as documented in the user's outline, is staggering. The brand's TikTok channel and its associated hashtags have generated 2 billion views in 2024 alone. This is a level of media engagement that is impossible to purchase. A traditional ad buy to reach 2 billion impressions would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Taco Bell is achieving it partially for free by leveraging its own customers. This is not just buzz, it has a direct, measurable financial impact. The outlined data confirms that this TikTok-centric strategy has directly led to a 30% increase in young customers. It is the single most effective tool the company has for customer acquisition in its most important demographic. The most successful and famous example of this entire strategy in action was the Mexican pizza campaign. The Mexican pizza was a popular menu item that the company had discontinued in 2020, citing redundant packaging and slow preparation times. This decision, however, created a massive backlash from its most loyal fans. A Save the Mexican Pizza movement, complete with online petitions, became a cultural talking point. Taco Bell's marketing team saw this not as a problem, but as an opportunity. They did not ignore the complaints, they cultivated them. They allowed the demand and the outrage to build for over a year. They signed on high-profile superfans, like the artist Doja Cat, to publicly champion the product's return, culminating in her ad-libbing about it during her 2022 Coachella performance. When the company finally announced the product's return, it was not a simple product launch. It was treated as a major cultural victory for the fans. The company gave in to the public's demands. The launch campaign was a TikTok native event, culminating in Mexican Pizza the Musical, a satirical production starring Doja Cat and Dolly Parton. The campaign was a massive self-aware joke, and it was a viral sensation. It won a Dages Award for the best use of TikTok and proved the brand's new model. Taco Bell's greatest marketing success of the decade was a product it had intentionally taken off the menu. It had successfully manufactured a crisis, manufactured the demand, and then manufactured the heroic solution. This is the core of the digital pivot. It achieves the same goal as the fashion collaborations. It builds the brand tribe. It provides a defense against the brand's core weaknesses. When a new E. coli outbreak occurs, the brand's cultural capital acts as a shield. The 40% of customers who are part of the tribe are less likely to be swayed by a health scare because their relationship with the brand is not transactional. It is emotional. This digital strategy is the company's primary defense against its own operational risks. This strategy, however, has a high cost. While user-generated content is free, the infrastructure to support it is not. The 20% budget allocation is used to fund a large, 24/7 social media team to pay for high-profile influencers and celebrity partnerships, and to fund the high production value stunts that get the conversation started. This is not cheap marketing. It is simply a different, more effective allocation of a massive budget. And, as the user outline correctly identifies, this highly effective strategy has created a new, massive, and potentially fatal structural risk. This digital-first, content-native strategy, while wildly effective, has simultaneously created a new, massive, and potentially fatal structural risk for the company. The user outline identifies this explicitly, a platform dependency, with the 2025 TikTok ban as the most prominent hypothetical example. This is not a minor marketing problem. It is a fundamental threat to Taco Bell's entire customer relationship model. By tying its brand identity so closely to a single third-party platform that it does not control, Taco Bell has made an all-in bet that is both brilliant and incredibly dangerous. Let us analyze the scale of this dependency using the data from the user's outline. 40% of Taco Bell's entire customer base is Gen Z. This same demographic is responsible for its 30% increase in young customers. The brand's TikTok native campaigns, which consume 20% of its marketing budget, are the primary driver of this success, generating 2 billion views in 2024 alone. These numbers are not just a measure of success, they are a quantifiable measure of vulnerability. The company has in effect outsourced its single, most critical customer relationship, its connection to the next generation, to a foreign-owned tech platform that is under intense political scrutiny. A hypothetical 2025 ban on TikTok, or even a significant unannounced change in the platform's content algorithm, would be catastrophic. It would be the digital equivalent of a competitor buying the land out from under 40% of its restaurants. This severs the brand's primary communication line. This is a vulnerability that Taco Bell's old world competitors, like McDonald's, do not share. McDonald's, with its more traditional diversified media buying strategy, appears less modern and cool than Taco Bell, but it is also far less fragile. McDonald's has a diversified media portfolio that cannot be wiped out by a single piece of legislation. Taco Bell, in contrast, has concentrated its power, making it more effective in the short term, but far more vulnerable in the long term. This massive external risk reveals the true underlying strategy of Taco Bell's digital ecosystem. The company's leadership is not naive to this danger. They understand the critical difference between a rented audience and an owned audience. The TikTok, Instagram, and fashion collaborations are the top of the marketing funnel. They are the loud, flashy, and exciting customer acquisition tools. The end goal, however, is not a TikTok view or a like. The end goal is to convert that viewer into a user of the Taco Bell Rewards app. The app is the lifeboat. As the user outline notes, the app has 20 million users. This is the only platform where Taco Bell controls 100% of the experience. It controls the algorithm, it controls the data, and it controls the line of communication. A rented TikTok follower is just a number. An owned app user is a known entity, a direct financial asset. This explains the true strategic genius of the 2023 Crocs collaboration. The campaign was not just to sell 100,000 pairs of slides. The real purpose of the campaign was to drive app signups by making the initial high-demand drop an exclusive pre-sale for Fire. Tier Rewards members, Taco Bell was not just rewarding loyalty, it was creating it. It sent a clear message to the millions of fans on rented platforms like TikTok. If you want access to this culture, you must join our owned platform. It was a massively successful audience transfer. Using the hype generated on a platform, it doesn't control to build the user base of the platform. It does control. This is the central tension of Taco Bell's modern strategy. It must use the volatile, high-growth rented platforms to constantly funnel users into its stable, high-control, owned app. Every viral campaign, every merchandise drop, and every celebrity partnership is, at its core, a data capture operation. Therefore, the analysis of this entire experiential pivot is twofold. The Taco Bell Hotel was the physical, high-cost, temporary version of this strategy. It was a content factory that generated a 7% revenue bump. The TikTok/digital operation is the permanent, lower-cost, daily version of the same idea. It has successfully built a powerful emotional shield around the brand. As the outline notes, this lifestyle pivot helps to reduce the risk from its food business. A loyal Fire Tier member who identifies as part of the Taco Bell tribe is far less likely to be deterred by a future E. coli outbreak or a lawsuit. Their loyalty is not transactional, it is emotional. In doing this, however, the company has simply executed a risk trade. It has swapped the operational risk of its food supply chain for the political and platform risk of its marketing strategy. The future of the company now hinges on a high-stakes race. Can it successfully migrate its rented tribe from platforms like TikTok to its owned app before an external political event cuts the connection permanently? This pivot was not just a marketing success, it was a fundamental re-engineering of the entire company's business model, and with it, a new and equally dangerous set of vulnerabilities. The previous installments analyzed Taco Bell's pivots into fashion and digital media as separate, parallel strategies. This final analysis will demonstrate that they are not separate at all. They are, in fact, two halves of a single, highly integrated brand flywheel, a marketing and business model that is now the true core of the company's enterprise. This flywheel is the engine that drives the 15% increase in loyalty, captures the 40% Gen Z customer base, and provides the 5 to 10% boost in ancillary revenue. It is also the company's primary defense against the operational and food safety risks outlined in its own history. This flywheel is designed to solve the rented versus owned audience problem. A TikTok view is a rented audience member. A Fire Tier app user is an owned asset. The entire purpose of the lifestyle pivot is to move as many people as possible from the first category to the second. The flywheel operates in a continuous 5-stage loop. First, cultural hype. This is the top of the funnel and takes place on rented platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and X. Taco Bell uses a high-cost, high-impact stunt like the $10 million Taco Bell Hotel or the viral Mexican Pizza, the musical campaign, to generate billions of free earned media impressions. This stage is not designed to sell a product. It is designed to start a conversation and create a massive temporary spike in brand relevance. Second, audience funneling. This is the most critical step. During the peak of the cultural hype, Taco Bell presents a call to action that is designed to transfer the rented audience from TikTok to its owned platform, the Taco Bell app. The 2023 Crocs collaboration is the single best example of this mechanism in action. The 100,000 pairs of slides were not first offered to the general public. As the user outline notes, they were offered as an exclusive limited presale available only to Fire tier members of the Taco Bell Rewards app. This instantly created a powerful incentive for millions of fans on rented platforms to download the app, create an account, and engage with the brand on Taco Bell's home turf. Third, transaction and data capture. Once the user is on the app, they are driven to make a transaction. This is a double victory for the company. First, it generates a direct food sale. Second, and far more importantly, the app captures that user's data. Taco Bell now knows who this customer is, what they buy, when they buy it, and what promotions they respond to. This is the asset that allows for the 30% increase in young customer engagement noted in the outline. Fourth, gamification and loyalty. The transaction is not the end of the loop, it is the beginning of the next one. Every dollar spent on the app generates points, gamifying the act of consumption. This is not just a simple buy 10, get 1 free punch card. It is a status-based system as defined by the mild, hot, and fire tiers. This system encourages customers to spend more money more often in order to level up and achieve the high-status fire tier. This directly combats the margin erosion problem as it shifts the customer's motivation from price to status. Fifth, exclusive access. This is the final stage that closes the loop. That fire tier status is then paid off with the key to the brand tribe, exclusive access to the very lifestyle products that started the hype in the first place. The Fire tier member gets the presale link for the next Crocs drop, the new Wild Fang coverall, or the Calpak luggage. This physical merchandise, as noted in the outline, is the $50 million per year, high-margin tangible reward for their digital loyalty. This 5-stage flywheel is the true modern Taco Bell business model. It is a work of genius because it solves all of the company's core problems identified in Part 2. It solves the low-margin problem. The food is the low-margin, high-volume entry point to the ecosystem. The lifestyle is the high-margin, low-volume reward. The high profits from the $50 million fashion business are used to offset the low 20% gross margins of the food business. It solves the competition problem. McDonald's cannot easily replicate this. The McDonald's brand is ubiquitous and family-friendly. It is for everyone. Taco Bell has leveraged its 5% market share weakness into its greatest strength. It is not for everyone. It is for a specific in-the-know tribe. This niche identity is what allows it to be cool and exclusive in a way McDonald's cannot. A McDonald's customer will switch to Burger King for a 2-for-1 coupon, a Fire tier. Taco Bell member, as the 15% loyalty increase shows, will not, because their loyalty is not based on price, it is based on status and identity. Finally, as the user outline analyzes, it solves the operational risk problem. The brand's dependency on a volatile fresh food supply chain with its attendant E. coli and hygiene risks is its single greatest operational weakness. The diversification into fashion and digital media creates a powerful brand shield. When a health scare hits, the 40% of customers who are part of the brand tribe are far less likely to be swayed. Their relationship with the brand is not transactional. It is emotional. The $50 million merchandise business and the 20 million app users create a financial and cultural buffer that insulates the company from its own operational failures. In conclusion, the diversification was not truly into fashion or technology. It was into status. Taco Bell is no longer in the food business. It is in the status business. The food is just the cheapest, most accessible way to buy into the ecosystem. The fashion is the most exclusive way to show off your membership. The app is the gatekeeper. This entire complex 12,000-word pivot has fundamentally re-engineered the company, trading the old world risks of food safety and price wars for the new world risks of fad culture and platform dependency. What is Taco Bell really selling? The history of Taco Bell, from a reverse-engineered taco stand to a global lifestyle corporation, provides a clear blueprint for modern brand building. The company's success is not based on culinary authenticity, operational excellence, or even overwhelming market share. In fact, it has often succeeded despite its operational failures. Taco Bell's dominance is built on hard-won core lessons that now form the foundation of its entire enterprise: menu transparency, cultural marketing, and franchise resilience. A defining moment in its strategy was the 2011 beef lawsuit. This existential crisis taught the company the critical value of menu innovation and transparency. The 35% meat allegation was a direct assault on its core product. The company's recovery, a public aggressive campaign disclosing its 88% beef, 12% signature recipe, proved that transparency could be a powerful marketing weapon. This lesson is now institutionalized, evident in its $200 million annual R&D budget and its 2024 vegan certified menu. This is not just trend chasing. It is a deliberate strategy to build trust and defend against the 5 to 10% sales drops that food quality scandals can cause. This foundation of transparency was essential for the company to execute its next critical strategy: the mastery of cultural marketing over product marketing. Taco Bell's leadership understood it could not compete with McDonald's on scale. It had to compete on culture. The pivots into fashion and experiences were not gimmicks. They were a systematic strategy to build a brand tribe, which is why Gen Z now accounts for 40% of its customers. As the outline notes, this lifestyle-first approach balanced the brand's low-price menu identity. This entire marketing and cultural strategy is only possible because of its resilience through a flexible franchise model. The brand's history is defined by crisis, from E. coli to franchisee lawsuits. Its survival is due to its capital-light structure. As a franchisor, Yum! Brands is insulated from costly store-level operations. This allows the company to weather a 2 to 3% sales drop from a local hygiene crisis and focus its capital on what truly matters: marketing and digital. This structure, combined with glocalization and its 20 million user digital app, creates a system that is both stable and adaptable. Ultimately, Taco Bell's story shows its core product is not food. It is a resilient, data-driven, and culturally focused marketing system.